if this is something that you are interested in, maybe you're curious, maybe you're at the stage in your life where you are thinking about cutting out some people or avoiding some people, I want you to know that there's nothing wrong with that. As long as these people do not serve you or provide any positive contributions to your life, then it is absolutely fine. Today, I am somewhere really fantastic. I'm just going to show you very quickly. Isn't that marvelous? It's so breathtaking out here, so serene. And it just reminded me of why I have been avoiding people of recent. The older you get, the more you realize that people out there are not your friends. They're not there for you because they want to be there for you. They're just there because there is something that you are offering to them. There's something that they want to take away from you. And that makes me want to stay away more and more. Now, this is not out of hatred. This is not out of malice. It's just because of my peace of mind, to protect my peace of mind and to protect myself and the people around me, the people that I actually truly love. I'm not against people. I love people. I think that human beings are wonderful creatures. We are intelligent. We can be very compassionate. We can be very sympathetic with each other. We can, be selfless sometimes. And that's what gives me hope in humanity. However, for those people who have come into my life personally, I find that a vast majority of them don't really see me as a person. They just see me as an object to use, and when they're tired, they just move on to the next one. Let's start with the group that I call the blood suckers. These are just people who are there to take away from you. They are there to take what they can get from you. And they don't think about the future. They don't think about consequences. They don't think about your feelings. They just grab what they can get and just move away. I've had relatives who only reach out to me when they need something from me, mostly financially. And it's not like I don't want to help people. It's not like I don't want to be there for people. But I find that when it's repetitive and each time you get what you want, you disappear. And when I actually need people for other reasons, you're not there for me. Or if I reach out to you, you can't lend yourself out to me for whatever reason. And yet, when you want me, when you need me, you want me to be there for you. These people often come up with sub stories. They often tug at your heartstrings and give you the guilt trip, right? They put you on a guilt ride. And I was taking that ride for many years and I decided to just stop it. So there are some relatives I have gone completely no contact with because of this. There are some friends as well. And there are other people that I just avoid. When I see their phone calls, I know what's going to come. And I don't need that in my life. I don't need people who are just takers and suckers and they're not giving. Then let's talk about the we're on the same team gang. So those people who always come to you because they believe that you belong to the same tribe, and as such you have to accept all of their trash, good or bad. So I'm talking about people who would come to you with stories about, yeah, you're black and I'm black, so yeah, we have to behave this way because we are black. Or people who would say, yeah, I'm a woman, you're a woman, so you have to accept me being such a bitch, or you have to also be a bitch. I know that we are all categorized based on different criteria like your educational background, your race, your skin color, all of that. That's fine, but that's just societal. Personally, I prefer to identify with people who have similar values as I do, who have their own strong ideas and strong characters, but they are not afraid to also explore other ideas as well. People who are willing to learn and people who are also willing to teach, right? We don't always have to be on the exact same page, but people who are individuals in their own right. People who understand the difference between owning up to your actions rather than playing the blame game just because you feel that you belong to a marginalized group or the other. I like to think of myself as strong enough to overcome certain restrictions, and I don't want to be restricted by a friend or a family member back into a box that I've already let myself out. So this would be very difficult for most people to do, and I get it, I understand it. It was also quite difficult for me to cut these people out of my life as well, but I had to do it. And that is the window lurking relatives. So, you know, those relatives that you have who are just watching from behind, waiting for you to fall, waiting for you to fail, waiting for them to be right and for you to be wrong. Those kinds of relatives, I cut them out of my life. Growing up, I had to live with non nuclear relatives. And believe me, it was hell. It was torment for me. I never felt like I was part of that family dynamic. And I always knew that people were waiting just to see me make a mistake. People were waiting to backbite me, to stab me in the back, to betray me, just to say, hey, she's doing something wrong. Hey, she's failing. She's never going to amount to anything in life. And as soon as I was able to get out of that toxic environment, that toxic family group, oh gosh, what a relief. I can't tell you how much relieved I felt. Over the years, they kept on getting in touch, you know, just when I felt like my life was finally resembling something normal or just finally moving in the right direction, I would get a phone call or a message or even a comment on one of my photos on social media. And that would just bring everything down again. That would just bring it crashing. So one of the ways that I cut off from these family members was I changed my name slightly on social media. So it wasn't easy to just find me. And I just didn't post as often as I used to anymore. It wasn't just because of them, obviously, but the fact that I wasn't posting as much as I was about my life meant that they didn't know what was going on in my life. So they didn't know if I was failing. They didn't know if I was succeeding. They just didn't know much. If they wanted to, then they had to call me, right? So this absolutely changed my life because I was then able to focus on bettering myself in life and not thinking about other people or how they made me feel guilty about my choices in life. I was able to just make my own mistakes and learn from my own mistakes without having an axe, you know, ready to chop my head off from behind. The next group of people that I cut out of my life are the ones that I call the one upper circle. One upper meaning that they always have to have an upper hand when it comes to any milestone in life. You know, those kinds of people that when you say a story, they always have something better to say. They've always been to a better place. They've had better meals. They've just had a much better experience than you have. Those people who make you feel bad for your experiences. They make you feel like you are not living life to the fullest. They make you feel a bit shitty, if you get what I mean. I avoid those kinds of people like the plague. I just don't have time for that. Like when I meet someone and I tell them something about my experience and they always want to make it sound like they've had either better or worse. Nowadays, I just, you know, breathe very deeply and then I just let it go. Once they've finished with their narrative, that's it. I'm out of the room. I just don't have time for that because it's not a competition. You know, they want to compete. They want to either be the most sorrowful person in the room or the happiest person in the room. And really that is just a waste of time, a waste of breath. I don't need that in my life. And I'm so happy that I avoid people like that. It doesn't matter whether they're friends or they're family. I mean, family is a bit more difficult, especially close family. But to be honest, I'm very lucky that I don't have family members like that in my life, not even from my husband's side. So, yeah, good riddance. This next group of people that I'm going to talk about seem like they are your friends. They seem like they're your best buddies, like you're in the same corner, but in reality, they are not. And these are the misery networkers. So they try to bond with you on a shared misery, a shared misfortune. For example, when you're at work and something isn't going right, maybe the IT department is messing up or something, and you've got these coworkers who are always ready to complain with you and to bond with you over these negative aspects of working. But when there's anything else outside of misery. They're not really interested. They just want to complain bitterly about life and about how things are going badly and poorly. I used to play that misery marathon in the past, but then I just realized, like, to what purpose, to what end, especially when you are complaining about things that cannot be changed, things that are completely out of your control. There's just no point. Again, a waste of time, a waste of energy that could be better spent doing something more productive or just doing nothing at all, being bored and relaxed. That brings me to the next group of people, which are the extremists. So those that are either extremely negative or extremely positive. There is such a thing as toxic positivity. Just as negativity is toxic, extreme positivity can also be toxic. So if something's going wrong, it's fine. It's okay. Accept it and do not try to sugarcoat things. You're just trying to cover reality. Positivity doesn't change the fact that, I don't know, you are obese or that you are going through a breakup. Positivity doesn't change that. What I'd rather have are people around me who can face reality and deal with reality as they are rather than going to either extreme. So just like I don't want someone telling me negative stuff all the time, I don't want someone pulling me down. I don't want someone who is always seeing the negative things around the world, conspiracy theorists or whatever that may be. At the same time, I don't need people who always have to put rose-tinted glasses on everything. There has to be a balance, okay? So anyone who's always just bubbly and yay, everything's perfect, there's something wrong there. Just as well, anyone who's always, everything is wrong, I hate these people, or I hate everybody, I hate the world. I'm so glad I don't have such people in my life, I swear. I just try not to be that kind of negative friend either. I try not to be too positive. I try not to bring anybody down. When people want to speak to me, I'm there to listen to them. Next on my list are the conditional cheerleaders. These are the people who are only there for you when you're not in competition with them. These are the people who are only there for you when it seems like you are achieving much less than they are. As soon as you start to be a little bit closer to wherever they think they might be, or maybe better, then the jealousy comes out, the envy comes out, and then you see how really nasty they are. And once I discovered people like that in my life, I just ran away as fast as my legs could carry me, because I used to be such a big people pleaser. And if I felt that someone was unhappy because of something I was doing, then I would try to diminish the effect, whatever that might be. I would try to diminish that or hide it away from them. And I don't want to be with people where I cannot just be myself. I don't want to be around people where I have to hide my successes or where I have to hide even my failures from. I want to be with people that I can share joys and tribulations with. Up to the point that I want to share. When I'm with people that are doing well, who are growing in their lives, I'm always excited. I'm usually really, really pumped up and excited for them. Even if what they have might be something that I wish I could have. I spoke about envy in one of my videos and how I used to feel envious and how it's okay. For me, I might feel envious in that moment, but then I know what I can control and what I cannot control. I know what I'm in charge of and what I'm not in charge of. And I let it pass, and I'm happy for you. That's just how I am. That's just how I'm built. And so when I'm around people who are not that way, it really takes a lot from me. It drains me out so much. It drains my energy. It brings me down. It brings me to such an anxious state. And I hate to pretend. That's why I think also I'm not very good with YouTube, because I just can't pretend to be who I'm not. When you're in your 40s, even in your 30s, in your mid to late 30s especially, you come to realize that people are not always who they claim to be, and people are not always on your side. They might be slightly on your side, but just as long as you are not infringing on the idea that they have of you, right? And so I just realized that me trying to please them, me trying to do or to behave in such a way that is acceptable to them and not to myself is doing myself a disservice, a huge disservice. If you cannot be yourself around certain groups of people, then there's just no point being around them. It might be sad. You might think about some of the things that you liked about them or that you might miss about them. But in reality, you have to wait up and say, hey, how much peace are these people bringing into my life compared to how much they are taking away? And if they are taking away much more than they are bringing in, then it's time to let them go. It's just not worth it. You don't want to wake up one day when you're in your 50s and your 60s and you realize that everyone around you is just like a leech, an energy leech. You don't want that. You don't need that. You need all your energy as you grow older. So, are there any groups of people in your life that you are thinking about avoiding or cutting out of your life? Or is there anyone in particular that you have already cut out of your life? I'd like to know if that's the case and why. Until the next video, guys. Ciao, ciao.